thanks once again for clicking into another edition of Sit Down with Ed Brown. Now, we've had the opportunity to talk to one half of the winning team from the $10 million Bigfoot bounty. And today, we have the pleasure of sitting down with the other half. Welcome to the show, Mr. David Lauer. How you doing, Dave?
Good. How you doing, Ed? Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, man, thanks for being here. It's an honor. You know, and I got to start off by saying congratulations on the big win, man. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. You know, it was a lot tougher than what I thought it would be, but it was a great opportunity, and I got to learn a lot, and that was a once in a lifetime chance, and I'm glad that Stacy and I could take advantage like we did.
Good deal. Well, we're glad you guys were on the show. We're glad you guys won. We thought that the best two teams made it, and we thought the right team won. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
That's awesome. Okay, but I got to ask, how do you get interested? How did you get interested in the whole Bigfoot subject in the first place?
Well, I tell you, I got into it around 2009. I was doing some hunting down here in Florida in a wildlife management area near the Kissimmee River. And I was out hunting hogs one night, and I was sitting on a hog trail, and it was starting to rain just a little bit, getting a little drizzly, getting close to dusk, and I hear a scream, like a woman screaming, and it sounded so human-like. It made me get right up, and I'm thinking, okay, somebody out here got hurt hunting. Either they, who knows, they got shot with an arrow, or they fell out of a tree, or, fell and hurt their leg or something. So I'm thinking I need to go help this person. So I start, walking down the trail towards this scream, and it's a constant, scream. It's like, ah, ah, like, come help me. I'm in distress type noise.
Sure.
And I'm walking, and as I'm getting closer, I'm on this fire break, and on my left-hand side, there's a big berm, and then there's an irrigation ditch, and then a farmer's field, because I'm right at the very edge of this management area. And on my right-hand side, on the other side of the fire break, is just woods all the way to the Kissimmee River. And as I'm getting closer, the scream that I'm hearing sounding like surely a woman in trouble now sounds more like if you've ever seen those documentaries on TV about chimpanzees or gorillas when the two gorillas, either the males are going at it,
right.
They're fighting over something, just carrying on. It's just super crazy. And what was super strange about it is that as I get closer, I can feel this sound is like just piercing my ears, and I can feel the vibration in my chest. And, I have a 12 gauge with me, and I have to like physically force myself to continue on, and my ears even perked up like what you see a dog's ears do when they hear a noise.
Sure.
And I had never felt like that before in my life, and at this point I'm starting to get super freaked out because, I grew up in Florida. I've been in the woods my whole life hunting and, fishing in the swamps, and, I've been in the military. I have military training. I know how to handle weapons. I know how to handle myself, okay. And I was freaked out. I used to think I was the biggest, baddest thing in the woods, but at this particular time, I felt like I could be dinner. And as I'm walking, I look to my left, and there's like a thicket of either wax myrtles or hollies or something like that growing on this berm. And I kind of look through there a little bit, and I see like this forearm, or the side of a forearm, and it's got white hair all over it, shaggy hair. It's about 6 inches long. And I'm not looking at the hand like straight on. I can see it from the side to where I see like a thumb, and where it curves down to the index finger, and I could see the skin on that thing, and it was gray, and it was all wrinkly and crinkly, and I'm hearing this sound on my right now is getting even louder, and I'm starting to see trees shake and bushes shake, and hearing noises like something really big is rustling around over there in the thicket. And so now my attention is off to the right. I turn my head to the right to see what this commotion was, because now there's bushes shaking. And it stops for a split second, and I turn back to the left, and whatever I had seen had now disappeared. It was gone. I don't know if it had gotten down into the irrigation ditch or what. I really couldn't hear it run off with the screaming that was going on. And so I'm thinking, okay, whatever this is, let me gather myself here. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to head towards this sound over here to my right. So I start walking towards this sound, and the closer I get to it, the further into that thicket it goes. And at this point, it's getting to be nightfall. And as I said, I'm on a wildlife management area, and I'm not out there hunting Bigfoot. I had heard about Bigfoot before, but never put any thought into it at all at this point. I'm just out there hog hunting by the rules. And so I know that it's about that time for me to get off because there'll be a game warden at the check station. And I start walking back to my truck. And as I'm walking, I'm hearing what sounds like footsteps off to that thicket of woods, which is now on my left because I'm heading back in the same direction that I came.
Right.
And I'm walking, and then I stop walking, and I hear, and then those footsteps stop. And then I take off walking again, and I hear it again. And then I stop walking, and I hear two more footsteps. And it stops. And then I at this point, I'm just freaked out. You know, I'm walking. I got a good mile to go to get to my truck, so I just kind of beat feet, pick up my pace, and get to my truck and get out of Dodge. You know, and ever since that happened, I needed to know what makes that kind of noise in these woods that I've grown up in that I've never seen, never encountered. And I need to know why I felt like I did while I was out there, you know, and it's more of a personal mission for me more so than trying to prove it to the world or anything like that, because I started doing some research on some vocalizations and whatnot, and the closest thing that would come to it were some of the recordings and screams that some people would associate to whatever Bigfoot was, you know. Until it's proven, nobody knows what it is, you know. So, you know, and that's what really got me into it and starting to research. And I came across someone offering expeditions, you know, right here in Florida, you know, and I hit him up, and lo and behold, it was Stacy Brown and the Sasquatch Hunters, and I hooked up with them over near the Apalachicola River. And that was a trip to remember. My first expedition was Stacy Brown. I will never forget it ever, because you got to think, you know, I finally got my wife to agree to let me go on an expedition, you know, that where they didn't charge you know, an arm and a leg. You know, it was completely free. Dude was just like, just come on out here with me. So I was like, all right, cool. And that's how I met Stacy, and we've been going out squatching, you know, ever since. You know, I could see what he could do in the woods as far as tracking and everything, and you know, he saw what I could do, and you know, the endurance of what it's going to take to go, you know, miles upon miles out into the swamps and get this thing figured out.
Right, get it cataloged, right? Catalog. Now, you mentioned you saw the forearm, and you could even make out the thumb and the index finger. How close were you to it with what you were looking at?
I would have to give it at about 35 yards, approximately 35, maybe 40 yards.
Right. And then when you were walking back, it was basically just paralleling you, or was it way behind
Yes,
you?
it was. No, it was really close to me, more paralleling than behind me.
Wow.
Yeah, and it freaked me out big time. You know, like I said, I've been in the military, you know, and you know, had all kind of training and everything, and you know, I've hunted in these woods all my life, and I've never ever felt like that before.
Sure. Now you've mentioned, you know, you brought up a couple of times your military background. But how does your military background, how does it help you when you're investigating Bigfoot activity?
Oh, well, you know, I was in the military. I was a diesel engine mechanic for generators. I was a 52 Delta. But when you go into the military, into the Army, you know, you go through, you know, the training where you learn how to do basic land navigation, and where you can, you know, certain training to be able to get around in the woods, you know, hiking, rucking and camping and digging, fighting positions and all that. I took that in as much as I could. I thought that was the bee's knees. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So I took it to another level. I did the training that I was required to do, and then I took it upon myself to research and do everything that I could, you know, because I just simply thought it was cool. I had no idea it was going to pay off, you know, big time later on. like it did for, me and Stacy on the show and helping me, out here in the woods looking for Bigfoot. But it allows me to, take a more tactical, a tactical way to try to do things, to conduct yourself in the woods while researching.
Sure. So basically, your military background has helped you to create a logical approach to what you're doing in a safe manner, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, in a safe manner. And Stacy's dad also is prior military. He actually used to be a ranger, and so he's got a lot of knowledge, and the U.S. military's been conducting night investigations or whatever you want to call them for 200 plus years, and they've been successful at it. So it's probably going to carry over somewhat into what we're doing if Bigfoot is half man, or half ape. Being able to look for men, hunt men in the woods is going to be an advantage.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a great prelude to my very next question. As a matter of fact, my next question was going to be, what is your opinion of the origin of the Bigfoot based on your research? Would you consider it more ape or more human?
I can speculate myself and give my own opinion. I think it could be, maybe some type of human that branched off of the tree a while ago. I think that's a possibility. It could be, something like a Gigantopithecus. No one will ever know. Everything about Bigfoot and Sasquatch is alleged until someone proves it. So everything is alleged, every theory, nothing is proven, nothing is fact. That's why it's important for you to get out there and try as many different things as you can to see what works and try to find a pattern. Once you find that pattern, then you can write down your data, and then the scientists that you submit your work to, such as evidence and everything like that, are going to take you more serious because you're more detailed in your work.
Right. Well said. It's well said. Now, when you go out to investigate an area for the first time, what is it that you're looking for? What kind of evidence are you looking for that suggests that there is Bigfoot that inhabits the area?
Well, when I first hear of a sighting, number one, I want to make contact with the person right away, and just make a conversation with whoever's reporting the sighting to see if I can get a feel for that person. Believe it or not, whenever we do get a lot of reports, and sometimes you're going to get somebody pulling your leg or
sure.
Just trying to be an ass or something. Hey, I got Bigfoot beating on my trailer, you know what I mean, or something stupid like that. So you got to be able to discern through that somewhat. And then, once you get out there, you're going to want to look for, is there a water source out here? Is there a food source out here other than, a trash can? Is there a game trail around here? Are there any deer around here? What are the other animals around here doing? What are their patterns? Obviously, if you get to walk around out there, you're going to be looking for your tree breaks, tracks, just your signs like that could let you know that something's been walking around in the woods there.
Sure.
You're going to be looking for scat,
Now, I'm no expert. I've never seen a Bigfoot. I've never heard one. So I'm hoping that changes at some point. But for now, I'm just a innocent bystander here, and I just enjoying the topic. But I've seen a lot of pictures people supply with wood breaks, things of that nature. And it's hard for me to look at that and say, okay, that was snow bend, or that was maybe a high wind, something along those lines. What is it you look for to differentiate one from the other, real from hoax, or real from fake? I guess I shouldn't say hoax. I should say fake.
Well, I tell you what, it's not going to be a strong enough find just to break by itself. If you're walking in the woods and you just see a tree break and it's not supported by anything else, then I would lean more towards wind damage or snow bend or something like that. But if you have what you think could be a tree break and there's a hair in the break, or you find a tree break and you find, tracks in the area of that tree break to support your way of thinking that tree break is from what you're looking for. If you can't find any supporting facts, then there's a good chance that it's not what you're looking for.
Sure. Now, in your research, you mentioned the one experience you had. During all the other times you've been out squatching, have you ever had any other encounters or anything of that nature?
Yes, actually, it was the first time I went out with Stacy. We went out to a site over there near Apalachicola that he goes to often, and we were out there, and I actually got the opportunity. We actually had his little girl came out too, and actually got his little girl to do some screams because she was she could really have some loud ones, and we like to get the kids involved too. You know, they have a blast.
Absolutely.
And we were out there, and so Stacy says, "Okay, baby girl, you know, go ahead and let one out." So she screams her little heart out, and it was loud. And then about 10 seconds later, I heard the best vocalization howl that I have ever heard. I mean, it gave me chill bumps. I mean, it was goosebump city. It was crazy. And naturally, nobody had a recorder going. And I have no idea why that happened like that. But those are the type of kinks you got to work out when you go researching, because you're not going to be able to tell when you're going to get audio or a vocalization. It's hard to always have the camera ready and on, you know, because you're only going to have a split second if you have a sighting probably.
Right.
So, you know, every now and then there are mishaps out there, and we didn't get that recorded, and, you know, we were all disappointed. But you talk about, you know, rejuicing the old get out there and search batteries from being able to hear something like that. You know, it was amazing. I've never heard anything like the closest thing I could. You know, it kind of sounds like the Ohio vocalizations that have been out. That's the closest thing I can relate it to. But it was beautiful. It was simply beautiful.
Right. I'm actually from Ohio myself, and I've heard that recording quite a bit. And that is it's a pretty strong piece of evidence. How when you heard that? I mean, when you this little girl, you know, she lets out this scream, and you get this response. How far away would you guess it was when it responded?
I would say it was a pretty good distance away. I don't know. It has to be, I don't know, 1,000 yards or more. It was definitely in the distance, you know, but not too far distance, you know.
Sure.
You know, I couldn't pinpoint it exactly, but it was clear. It was definitely clear and crisp and extremely bellowed out with that but for way longer than I could ever try to imitate a call like that. It was like, wow, that's way too much air in there to be a regular man to have that much air power in his lungs to belt one of those out. Right.
Did you get anything else that evening, or was that it?
That was it. That was all we heard that evening. But man, there was one time we were out near Appalachia, and we were on an expedition, and there was a particular trail in this area that we were at that was really long and been known to be, you know, a pretty grueling trail because I don't know if anybody knows, but over there in Apalachicola, it's not like the rest of Florida at all. There's what could be considered foothills over there. It's not flat like what you think. There's some big hills over there. It kind of puts you in the mind of maybe even like a South Georgia or North Georgia foothills. You know, it gets pretty hilly. I mean, nothing super tall, but it's hilly, and it can wear you out. But me and Stacy chose the longer trail because we wanted to get way out there where we think this thing might be at. And we get out here on the trail, and it was our first time walking it, and we went the wrong way on the trail. So instead of just taking a 2-hour walk out to where we thought we were going, we went the wrong way, so we had to walk the whole trail all the way around, which was pretty much like a 10-hour ordeal. And our batteries lasted for the first 3.5, 4 hours, and our batteries died. So we're at one end of the trail and got to get all the way back to the other end, and then, you know, we have dead batteries. So we're walking, and 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 we sit down to take a break and, you know, kind of gather ourselves and be like, you know, it's got to be, you know, just a few more miles. We'll find the trail. We'll get out of here. And we look over to our left and we shine the light over there and we see some eye shine, some big eye shine, like, pretty far apart and maybe about 8 feet off the ground.
Wow.
And we look, and then me and Stacy both, we knew we didn't have our camera. They had dead batteries, so we just kind of took off running. And whatever it was had disappeared behind a tree. I don't know if it ran back down a hill, but we got up there and we shined the light and we could not see anything and we could not hear anything. None of our night vision was working. It was one of those times where you really wanted to kick yourself in the butt, It was crazy, but we saw some really good red eye shine that night, and it was awesome.
So when you said you took off running, you took off running towards it, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Because we figured, hey, if it's a one-time deal, we need to try to get a look at it, see, exactly what we're dealing with here, I mean, who wouldn't want to get a look at a Bigfoot if you had the chance? Now, I don't necessarily think that I would choose to do that in every situation because, there may be some situations where, you might be able to have another chance to see it and you don't necessarily want to scare it off, if it's a habituation site, so, but there's...
Yes, so basically using common logic to dictate, just use common logic, I should say, to dictate whether you pursue it or whether you draw it in, correct?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. It depends on the situation. I'd love to be able to get out there and be able to recognize, where Bigfoot, Sasquatch or skunk ape, whatever you want to call him, where he's going to, like I said, be able to identify patterns to be able to predict where he'll be. And then once I can do that, the Sasquatch hunters, me and Stacy and the group, then you can kind of be able to see what they're doing on their terms instead of them trying to look in and see what we're doing on our terms.
Right. I
want to be able to watch them and them not know that I am there. Whether that's possible, I have no idea, but we're going to try it. We have to, that's what we got to strive to do.
Sure. I've heard some reports of that happening, so I would certainly think it's possible, assuming those reports are accurate. And I think that's kind of the hardest thing for most people is to determine what information is accurate and what information is not. How do I want to ask this question? When you guys get a call saying, hey, we've got some activity, we want you to come and check it out. When you get there, how do you discern pretty quickly whether it's accurate or not?
Well, I mean, you have to look at where the house is. What's the layout of the terrain that's there? What does it look like in the neighborhood? Was this person the only one that saw it, or were there any neighbors that heard or saw what they're saying they saw? Just try to get a feel for the person, have them run through it, ask them if they would like to be on video, and explain their story. And if they don't have any problem being on video and don't want their voice scrambled or anything like that, you kind of take that into consideration, not a whole lot, but you just got to try to feel it out, and then have them walk us through it as much as possible, as closely to how the details of that night of the sighting went down. And after they show us how it unfolds or what they're saying, we can kind of go around and look for things like tracks or hairs or and things like that. And if you do find a hair, I mean, unfortunately, unless you've gone out into the woods a lot, like, Stacy and I and our whole group are always out in the woods, so we're familiar, like, with what a deer hair looks like or what a bear hair looks like. So we know to avoid those looking hairs, bobcat, rabbit, squirrel, you know what I mean? We can identify hairs on a barbed wire fence, or if we find those, pretty quickly to eliminate those. But if you find something that you're having trouble guessing what it is, or eliminating it or whatever, those are the ones that you want to hold on to and try to have those submitted for sampling.
Sure. So what do you have going on right now in regards to your research? What are you working on?
Well, I do have a site that's near me. I'm actually in Jacksonville, Florida, but there is a place right near me that there's been a lot of sightings. And I'm doing going out there quite often, and, I'm going to start setting up some game cams now that the hunting season is kind of over with down there. And I'm really excited about it. It's something I can just take a kayak on or a canoe and just go down the creek and be as quiet as I can be. And there's a 13-mile stretch of creek. It's beautiful, and it's way far out there, and there's been sightings all over that place, and get some cameras set up out there and see what I can find. And also what's really exciting is this September there's going to be a Skunk Ape conference in Florida. And Stacy and I are working together to get that put together. We're going to have some speakers come, and we're going to have Robert Robinson. He's the author of Legend Tripping, and he's a good friend. We've gone out squatching with him before, and he's actually someone that turned me on to a story that happened right here in Orange Park, Florida. There used to be a facility there that experimented on monkeys, and the locals here called it the Monkey Farm. And it's a fact. It was actually there, and it was actually a place. And Robert actually was telling me about it, and because it was really cool and stuff. And I actually was working with a guy, an old man, and I just happened to ask him about it. And he said that he could, his dad or somebody in his family had told him stories about that place, and how they said that some lady that worked there, that worked back in the lab or something, saw what they were doing to these monkeys and let some of them go. And right over here in Orange Park. And I mean, that was back in the days of, the old days in World War II, where, Stalin was said to be experimenting with chimpanzees and, stuff like that. So, who's to say America wouldn't try to do something like that?
Absolutely.
I wonder, it's definitely interesting, to say the least,
Now, do you remember the photograph? To me, it looks like an orangutan behind some palm leaves that was taken in Florida. You aware of that photograph?
Yeah, I am aware of that photograph. I believe that was taken down in Mayaca. It was either taken down in Mayaca or somewhere, or no, Sarasota. I believe it was Sarasota or somewhere down there. But, I don't know. That it kind of does look like a chimpanzee to me. I mean, who's to say somebody didn't take that picture in a zoo and try to submit that? Right,
but
right. I do know that down south over in that area, I do believe there are skunk apes down there around that area, around the Mayaca area. Specifically, I think that there could be something there. We actually did an investigation down there of a YouTube video by a guy named Mike. Took a video. He was down in a state park down there of what he thought was a Bigfoot, or what he said could be a Bigfoot walking across this field. And we actually got down on that sighting really, really quick. And we got out there, and Stacy and I, the area that it was in was full of, this grass was it was like a floodplain or something, and this dry grass was extremely thick and waist high. And you could walk around in it, and we saw some tracks out there that were approximately 14 to 15 inches in length that went the same route as whatever it was in the video went. So we were able to track it, and we also found what looked like to be a small structure that looked like a blind or something out there, kind of in the middle of the field. That video is up on our website. You can find a link to it from there. I'm sure Stacy's got it up there at the SasquatchHunters.com. And that was a really, really good investigation. The rangers down there, though, I don't know what their deal was, but they didn't like us there. The rangers at that particular park. That was weird. I've never had that happen to us before. Everywhere else we go, we're on first name basis with the rangers. We always respect our campgrounds. We don't leave trash everywhere. We're stewards. We set the example of how campers should act while we're out there conducting our research, because we know how lucky we are that they let us go out there.
Sure.
But for some reason, those guys, they didn't like us. They said somebody was in the park in a Bigfoot suit and all that other stuff, and just kind of acted real rude to us, like they didn't want us there at all. That was kind of strange.
So that was kind of like almost trying to throw you off, thinking, well, even if we get something, it may not be real. I mean, that's kind of a
yeah.
That's odd. That's odd.
Yeah. And they leave notes on our vehicles when we park, to go investigate and stuff. We come back and there'll be notes on here, don't park here, park somewhere else. Well, we'd park over there, and then there'd be another note, don't park here, park somewhere else. And so much of that, you can take before you decide, man, screw this.
Yeah. We'll look somewhere else. Yeah, that's messed up. Yeah, that's odd that the Rangers would do that. But let me ask you this real quick. Now, with so many new researchers in the field today, and as a veteran researcher yourself, what advice would you offer anyone new wanting to get into the field?
I'd say keep an open mind. Nothing's been proven, so any theory that you have, no matter how crazy it may seem, or whatever tactic that you want to use that you think may produce results, go ahead and do it, because nothing has been proven that will work or will not work. Just don't be ashamed to say what you want to try or what you want to do, because the rest of the Bigfoot community is so quick to jump on your head out there. Don't worry about that. Just keep focused on your task at hand, and you'll do fine.
Sure. And I think that's good advice, because there's unfortunately a lot of people out there who seems like their only job in the Bigfoot world is to prove other people wrong.
Yeah.
And I guess it's I don't know, maybe it's just too easy to do that. But yeah, don't let that stuff, just let it roll off your back. That's good. It's good advice.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears now. I'm going to kind of go into your experiences on the show, on that $10 million Bigfoot bounty.
Okay.
And I think the biggest reason your team won the show was because your team was the only one that that had two leaders on it. And normally I don't think that's something that works out very well, but you and Stacy seem to pull that off. What made your team different than the rest?
Yeah, it's a teamwork. Teamwork, absolutely, all the way, 100%. Stacy and I have already spent, countless hours in the woods doing this. When we said multiple times on the show, this is what we do. If we get sent home, we're going to be out squatching in the woods again in a week, So, teamwork and knowing how your teammate's going to react in certain situations is key. While one guy is mixing up plaster, the other guy can be taking the photos and writing down the coordinates and doing everything else to kind of speed things up and keep that flow going, of one another. If someone you think, if I thought Stacy was going to go the wrong way or whatever, I could say, Stacy, hey, I think we need to go this way. You need to be able to talk that out. That didn't happen, but, you have to be able to talk situations out like that, other than just start arguing and want to storm off from your partner or whatever. That's definitely one of the things that did it for us is teamwork. We could, where he's weak, I could be strong. Where I was weak, he could be strong. We could kind of feed off of each other and push each other, because we're also quite competitive, believe it or not. And and we also we love to joke around. We love to joke around, and we just kind of feed off of each other and push each other, and we demand the best from each other, and we help each other get the results that we need, and it worked out for us great to win the show.
Yeah. I think you guys did a great job. In fact, I had made note that I guess it was Justin Rowe. They seemed to get along real well, and you and Stacy got along real well. And I think that was the only two teams, other than maybe the brothers. I think they got along pretty well. But other than that, everybody else was always fighting and at each other's throat. But you guys all got real well.
They would argue, and they'd be fighting like cats and dogs. Man, it was strange, and I got to meet a lot of good people on that show. Michael Merchant, he was our biggest competition, I guess, so to say, on the show there. And I actually have a lot of respect for Michael Merchant. He is a good woodsman. He knows his stuff out in the woods, and he's very well spoken. He doesn't, I kind of sounded like a dumb redneck at times on there, but he can come across and sound like a really educated, guy, which he is. He's got the credentials to prove it, and I've got a lot of respect for Michael Merchant. We had a disagreement, during the filming of the show. But that wasn't, we talked that out and got it, worked that out, and ever since then, we've been able to get along pretty good.
Sure. Well, that was actually going to be my next question was, the show kind of portrays everybody as at each other's throat almost constantly. I mean, was it really that bad, or was that just Hollywood?
No, there was times there that it got pretty serious. It got pretty serious with me and Merchant. It got pretty serious with Stacy and Merchant. It would get pretty heated in there among, some of the contestants. A lot of it's reality TV for a reason. You get people in there in a stressful situation, and there's a lot on the line, and people start going at each other. And it wasn't all roses. It was you had to work. If you wanted it, you had to work it. You had to get it.
Right. Do you think that the issues that were there, do you think it was basically because everyone was just so competitive?
Yeah, I think everyone basically so competitive, or that some people think that the way they would do things would be better than others, or as far as the hunters, it was divided up between squatchers and hunters. Some of the hunters really, didn't believe, or really didn't care if there was a Bigfoot, wanted to prove that it wasn't, to try to make us look bad or whatever. But it was it got a little tense there at times, but it was okay.
Yeah. Well, I think Kat, I believe it was, and actually saw something, and they kind of got a little glimpse of it on film. Well, that was pretty interesting. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. And actually, on that night, that was one of Stacy and I's best hunt. That place that we were at was awesome. And if that was going to be a place to where somebody would see one, I would think that would be definitely the place. I wasn't there, so I really can't. I was about a mile or two away, in the woods when that happened. So all I could go off of is what all the listeners and watchers of the show heard, because I didn't see that and I wasn't there. If Kat says that she saw something, I'm quite sure that she did. Whether she could have misidentified something or whatever. I wasn't there, so I can't make that call. But I don't have any reason not to believe, Michael or Kat. None of them have, they've never lied to me. So.
Right. And it's funny because they, the little clip they had of that very short clip of that image kind of walking through the woods, to me anyway, was pretty reminiscent of that video Stacy has, just without the infrared, And it was.
That video was awesome. That is, I still think that's probably the best. That's the best thermal video out there of an alleged Sasquatch is that video. Him and his dad did an amazing job with that.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have been out there. I wish I would have been with him, but I'm sure I was working or something. And but that is awesome. That is a true piece of work there. They did an excellent job on that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I told Stacy that was, in my opinion, right up there with the Patterson film as far as a good, clear image, even though it was infrared and it was just dark.
Yeah, and then not only that, to have it validated, by somebody in the field that goes around and does that. Cliff Berkman wrote up a segment on that and the reenactment and everything, and it had really positive results for as opposed to what we're trying to prove. As far as the height of the subject in the film and everything, and Cliff did a great job, and I'm grateful that he helped us out with that.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to start Cliff, and I'll tell you what, he is a class act, and I'm going to be there Saturday. I'm going up to the Ohio Bigfoot Conference on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to shaking his hand and saying hello. So that's going to be awesome.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I haven't had the pleasure of shaking the man's hand yet, so shake his hand for me and tell him I said hello.
I will. David Lauer said hello. Will do. Is there any part of your experience on the show that you regret?
I went on that show and I had just had a baby boy, and thank you. He was real young still. He was only like 6 weeks old at the time, wow. And the opportunity came for me to go, and my wife Karen, she is extremely supportive. and she was like, well, if you think it's the best thing to do, if you think you can do it, or, go ahead and do it, don't worry about us. We got everything covered. My older son, Andrew, he's 14. He stepped up and was able to help Mom out quite a bit, but I do regret having to leave my kids. But other than that, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I don't know if I would have ever got to have been to all those hot spots like that.
Right.
In my life, I saw some of the most beautiful country I've ever seen in my life. I met some very interesting people, that I'll never forget. Dan and Dave, the Green Giants. Those dudes they are awesome, man. They are awesome. They earn my respect, 100%. I mean, David Green, we're out there squatching, and we're all getting back to the truck. It's the same night Kat had her sighting out there. And I see Dave and Dan walking up, and then I see Dave, he's in the van, and the paramedic guy's looking at him, and that guy, he hoofed it, I don't know how many, like maybe a half a mile or a mile or something like that uphill on a dislocated knee. And, tried to, say he didn't need to go to the hospital or anything. And then I heard when the paramedic popped it back into place, it was so loud. And all of us standing around were like, damn, because it was like, wow, popped it back into place. And he just wrapped it up and just kept right on trucking. And, Native Americans have been, having, constant, run-ins and legends of Bigfoot and everything like that. So anything those guys had to tell me, I was ready to listen. And they did share, something about, burning some sweet grass. It's not weed. It's actually a herb or a grass that grows out there where they live. And they were gracious enough to share that with me. And I am, I have to say that I kind of think that it worked, and I think Stacy will back me up on that because, we did that, and like they showed us, and we turned out to have one of the best hunts we ever had when we were out at Bluff Creek, and I gotta say I think it might be the sweetgrass that kind of opened my eyes up to being able to listen to nature a little bit more than I had been, and they taught me a lot. They certainly have a lot to teach. Those are some jam up guys there.
Good deal. So just kind of open up your awareness a little bit more.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
How did you get involved in the show? I mean, I'm assuming Stacy came to you, and I'm just guessing. I don't know, but Stacy came to you and said, "Hey, let's do this," or
yeah, absolutely. Stacy was like, I got a chance to, we can be on a Bigfoot show. And, it's a TV show. We'd be gone for, a certain amount of time, and they'd fly us around to the Bigfoot hot spots, and we would look for Bigfoot. So, I don't think he even had to get done telling me what it was about before I said, yep, okay, and was already packed up, ready to go. So,
I hear you.
Yeah, I was ready,
Absolutely. I would have been the same way. I couldn't have been ready fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they'll do another season?
I hope they do. It was an amazing opportunity. It was a great experience, and it can teach the Bigfoot community a lot. If you look about how everybody acted on the show, how we were at everybody's throats and stuff, it kind of resembles the Bigfoot community. And what's gonna get the job done is when people start having some teamwork, like Stacy and I did, and do what needs to be done to get it done. Maybe a more collective, attempt at trying to prove it, and not so much as down in each other's work or how people get it done or, whatever,
Sure.
A little bit more teamwork.
What was your favorite moment on the show?
Favorite moment on the show, I'd have to say when they announced that me and Stacy were the winners, and I was just so elated. They didn't show how much I screamed when on the show when it aired, but I was elated. I was like, yes, finally, hard work does pay off. Oh my God, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't all easy. Michael Merchant was some pretty tough competition. I got a lot of respect for that guy.
Now, Stacy told us about what he did with his half of the research grant. Can you share with us what you did?
Well, I got some equipment, and I'm looking at some more goodies to get. Always got my eye open, and it's definitely given me some breathing room to be able to get out more, get out into the woods, doing what I need to do to get approved, and what Stacy and I both need to do. And just, putting it to good use, using it to do more research and, grab the best gear that can get it done, and then, have a little money saved up to where if you do find a sample that needs to be looked at by a DNA specialist, and you always have that little bit to fall back on to say, okay, here it is. I'm putting all my chips on this one, because that stuff is expensive to get that stuff tested. The mitochondrial DNA testing and everything is quite a bit,
Right. Yeah, and Stacy was talking about the dart gun, I guess you could say, that he purchased. And are you guys still planning on doing all this together and using all the equipment that you get together as a team?
Oh, absolutely. That's what we do. We always go out and we combine everything we have. We have a lot of good guys in the group that we can call on and know exactly what's going on. Josh Watson, the Sasquatch Hunters, he's been a part of the group now forever, and he can pick up any piece of gear and be able to use it. Stevie Strings down in Mayaca, he's another guy that can come in and be able to pick up immediately and fill in any spot, any aspect, as far as being able to go out into the woods and look or to go follow up on an investigation. And being able to have the gear to get out to your guys, that, so they can use it and be able to do things because I can't be everywhere at once and Stacy can't be everywhere at once, but the more members we have that are trained in using this gear that we're able to get correctly and effectively is going to, boost our chances up even more. And that's what we believe in, everybody being able to step up to the plate, at any given time and pick up any piece of gear and be able to explain to somebody how to use it, and how to get it done properly.
Sure. All right. Well, one more quick question, real quick. And you talked about this earlier on. You talked about the expeditions you guys do. What is it? What do you tell people? What do you do to help people on these expeditions? I mean, what do you teach them?
Well, when people come out on our expeditions, we teach a lot about tracking. Because you have to be able to know, look at the tracks on the ground and be able to tell what animals are in the ground, in the area, to be able to identify possible food sources. The people that come to our expeditions are going to get a class on DNA collection, to the gold standard of DNA, as Dr. Todd Mitzeltel would say. There's a certain, standard that you need to uphold while collecting that for it to be taken seriously by any scientist. We show people what they need in a basic kit to get started to be able to collect the DNA when they find it. Some basic survival skills, land navigation, so, you don't get lost in the woods. That's something, that happens a lot. You can't always depend on, technology as far as GPS because batteries do die. And, there's just a plethora of things that people learn while they're out. They catch up on a lot of the work that Stacy and I have been doing. We're always ready to sit down at the campfire and tell our stories and listen to their stories and get to know them and make new friends and keep the investigation going in as many states through as many people as possible.
Well put. And I think it sounds like a fun time. And
it is. We have a blast. We go out during the day and look for samples and tracks and everything, and then at night, while we're out in the day, we find good spots, or Stacy and I will have already scouted them, and we'll know where to go at nighttime to go and sit, and everybody gets gear, and not just, cheap gear. We're talking about FLIR, thermal cameras, iGen, 2020, top of the line, gear, parabolic dishes, everything. And they're, shown how to use it and to record with it and everything. And, we have a great time.
That's awesome. I really like your enthusiasm. I really like your ideas about, trying to bring the community together, and open your mind up a little bit to other people's opinions. You don't have to, but it's good to listen. Maybe you can pick something up, and I really like that you feel that way. That's to be commended. And
yep.
Now, normally I like to end the show by giving my guests an opportunity to close it out for us. You can talk about your expedition. You can talk about your Florida Bigfoot conference, which when that happens, by the way, make sure you let me know, because if I can get down
absolutely.
there, I would love to come down and say hello and shake your guys' hand as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it'll be in September, the 19th and 20th of September down here in Orlando. And Lyle Blackburn will be there, Robert Robinson, and we have some more people that we're talking to come on down. And we're going to have a great time. We're going to have, some booths set up and everything, and, a meet and greet, go out and have some drinks and, learn a lot and get to meet a lot of good people. And there'll be some good food there. So come on through and make sure you bring your family. We're going to have a blast.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let you close up the show with any final thoughts you have. Let me say first that I appreciate you taking the time tonight to sit down with us and talk about your experiences and what you got going on. It's been a pleasure.
I have enjoyed it, and you are very welcome. And actually, I want you to know you're the first interview, phone interview or interview period I've done since the show. The first one.
Good deal. It's always nice to be the first one. Hopefully you get a lot more. You deserve a lot more. So go ahead. You close it out for us. Tell us whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. Well, you just make sure you guys, keep posted to our website, www.thesasquatchhunters.com. We got all kind of Sasquatch Hunters, swag on there, all kind of shirts and gear and all kind of stuff that you can get. Plus the dates are going to be on there for the Skunk Ape Conference, the first one in Florida. So we want that to be a big hit. We're going to have lots of stuff out there for everybody. It's going to be a family event. You can bring the kids. We're very kid friendly. And also pay attention on the website to our upcoming expeditions. Once we post them, they get reserved pretty quick. So just make sure you stay up on the website. You can look me up on Facebook, David Lauer. I'm also on Twitter, at David J. Lauer on Twitter, at Bigfoot Stacy on Twitter. And just hit us up. We'd love to hear your story. Let us know about your sightings and what you've been finding out there, and we'll share ours too.
Awesome. Mr. Lauer, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you taking the time tonight.
Hey, no problem, man. I enjoyed it. Have a good night, sir.
You do the same.
Bye.